साइंटिफिक इंटीग्रिटी की बात की और क्या की?
Intellectual honesty and research integrity.
ओके, रिसर्च ऑनेस्टी की बात कर रहे थे हम. सो लास्ट में क्या बात कर रहे थे लास्ट में? कल लेक्चर खत्म होते होते we were talking of something.
Responsible conduct of research and good
Very good.
research practices.
Very good, very good. We were talking of, I guess, we were talking of this thing. I was expecting the same. Yes. Is that we were talking of responsible conduct of research? Here, just I quoted yesterday that responsible conduct of research is a very big concept, is an umbrella concept, which includes all. So if you just classify this into two major aspects, that is research ethics and research integrity as such. Basically, ethics deals with moral principle, and whereas integrity deals with the professional standards. So before starting this, we'll just discuss something. So what happens if we do not behave very morally, or what there are certain professional guidelines even. So there are certain standards laid by, there is no rule as such, but still there are certain unknowingly unsaid rules they are there, where these rules they are laid and we are bound to follow this. This is what we call. So any deviation from this is what we call as misconducts. So what are scientific misconducts? So if you look into this syllabus today, I will be talking of this thing. Scientific misconducts that includes, not limited to, falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism. So I think this is very important as far as the science researchers they are concerned. We'll just look into. I will try to deal it as with your convenience, and do expect a discussion questions from your end. So we'll be dealing with this maybe. We'll see how much time it will be required. Maybe probably we'll finish it today itself. So how do we recognize academic and research? Yesterday we have seen and research integrity. So many of the time, see, you too might have observed these things. So this is breach of research integrity, how it is observed generally. So how, like copying, cheating in examination, we can regard as it is a breach of integrity. It is expected you should be very true. No one, even if like what happened in this COVID, it was only you writing the paper, answering the question, and the most of the students even in this lockdown, no one was there. You were your own invigilator, you were your own examiners, you were your own candidate. You have to be, it is believed that, see, even everyone, university, whether it is government or whether it is the whole of the system, it's the culture, whole of the Indian culture, they believe that everyone who is just following these things, or be a student or be a teacher, they are all very sincere, very honest. So based on that, most of the things they were in the process. So even examination they were conducted very nicely, and we believe that everyone behaved very honestly. So even cheating examination we can consider as a breach in this academic or integrity, whether it's academic, whether it is, because research we can consider as a part of this academic, which tends to have a very bigger terminology. Similarly, plagiarizing in written works or vulgar presentation. So see, if you just even it is expected, what it is expected to write in examination. Just I think everyone you have passed through many of the examination. So what it is expected, what you should write in the examination, how you should write in the examination. See, let me tell you my incidents also. First, I wish to listen yours, then we'll talk of mine. What I really experienced, that is my 200% true experience I wish to share with you. So, but what it is expected, how you should write in the examination. Yes. No one is answering or no one is understanding the question. Is it? Yes. Anyone? What the examiner expects? Yeah, all I guess everyone has passed through your masters and come over here.
Sir, in which sense?
In which sense? In the
Cheating on exams or the
no, not I'm not talking about cheating in examination. Cheating is some different.
The voice is breaking. Hello.
Is it?
Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing. Hello, I'm listening to you. My voice is breaking.
Yes, sir.
Sir, voice is breaking, sir.
I don't know what could be the problem because network is perfect.
Sir, something unwanted voices come, sir.
From my end?
Yes, sir. So that's why your voice is breaking, sir.
Now it is okay?
Sir, there is an echo in your sound.
It is echoing. Okay, what I will do, I will stop. Now my voice is clear.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir, but the voice was breaking that time.
Now it is not now?
No, sir. It is audible, sir, clearly.
Okay. No, even you were complaining about echo. Hope it is not echoing. Is it?
No, sir. No.
Okay, thank you. So I was sometimes it happens, but I'm sure it is not. It may be due to the network problem, but I have a good bandwidth over here.
Sir, are you using a headphone, sir? Because some noise is there, sir.
Still?
Because of the are you using the headphones or Bluetooth, something like that? Because some error is there, some error voice is there. कर रहा है सर बीच में इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ बात करने के बाद
हो सकता let me try something else. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. Voice is clear, sir, right now.
Okay. Now my voice is clear.
Yes, sir.
Let me leave and again join. Because I am facing still my headphone is not helping me.
Sir, your voice is clear now, sir.
I guess it's fine now. Now my voice is clear.
Yes, sir.
Please enable my screen sharing. Marathi sir. Sir, I don't know who is admin.
Yes, sir. Sir, please.
Please.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Sir, please enable my screen sharing.
Okay. Ganesh, sir, 1 minute. I will call the Ganesh.
No problem. Sir.
सर झालं
नाही. Okay. Sir, you are welcome.
Okay, right. Sir. Thank you. Because I was using a different headphone. So, okay, my question was, what it is not regarding cheating or something like that. When you are attempting examination, when you are attempting writing some answers, so what it is expected by the teacher or even those examiners, how you should write those answers?
You should write properly and neatly, cleanly, all points to be covered in that exam answer.
Content, regarding content.
Content, all the points should be covered.
Okay. So let me tell you one instance. See, it is expected when you write examination, it is expected you should write in your own words. Is it? You should write in your own language.
Yes, sir.
you should express your ideas in your way. See, let me tell you, when I was I passed my 12th and I was student of BSc first year. And BSc, I was very studying. I had a very large group of my friends. And there were many acquainted or around. So first year, it was annual examination and I started for the first paper. In the first paper, probably the English was there. I didn't have time even to look around. I wrote. Second paper, Hindi was there. For the third paper, it was first, I think botany paper was there. And I started attempting the question after writing 3-4 questions. Then I started thinking, because something I was not able to remind. I was writing in my own language. I was not able to remind. So just to have an idea, because I just lifted my head up and just looked around. Looked around in the sense of just because it was monotonous. I thought that if just changing my posture, it will give some ideas. So when I looked around, I thought that some of my colleagues, my classmates sitting around, they were just looking into some sort of chits, some sort of papers, and they were trying to write. And I was, all of a sudden, I was worried. So because I studied it very hard, and at that time, the use of digest and all thing, it was very much. And some people, they were having. So when I started looking around, one of my classmates, hey, kya nahi aa raha hai? So I said, no, I just trying to remember. Well, if you want some question, I will give you. Right? No, I don't want it. The exam, the invigilator, he was sitting, standing some different place. He was not even minding this. I was much worried about the question. Was now the thing, for the very first thing that ran into my mind, that I thought that these people, they are writing their answers just directly taking from that books or something like that. One or the other, maybe it was just half an hour remaining, and I was trying to write my last question. I was just trying to get some idea so that, but problem was I was started worrying that I have written in my own language with my own words, my own ideas, they were proposed, and it was a sort of, just excuse me. It was sort of confusion for me. So I thought that I started thinking that I may not get the good marks, because some of the people who were just writing from the notes, writing from, because language of, see, the language of that text, it is very nice. And I thought that I will lose the marks. I will not get, because I have written in my own language. I was trying to write in my own language, and I thought I will not get the marks. So what happened then? I said, so let it be. This is not good. Then when the result came, when I saw into the result, I was especially worried about 2 of my classmates who really had good marks. But that day I saw them copying. I saw them cheating. And I really thought that they will get good marks, because they could just read from the text, and they were writing in the examination. And all on my own, I have written it in my own language, because then again, I thought that probably my language is not that good, which is there in the textbook or whatever the reading material was there. I said no. So when intentionally, when I saw their result, their marks, special in that paper, where I was a bit worried. So I could see that I had higher marks than those two people. So I was very happy. And all of a sudden I started thinking why this happened. Though they have written from these books, then I had this question I asked my teacher. So it means, see, it happens only. If you are written with your own heart, definitely you will get marks, because examiners, they do understand. They do understand how the student writes. Then on that day, I could understand that really teachers, they are real teachers, because they knew what is the language of a textbook, what is the language of a digest, what is the language of the student's own. So it is expected we should not, or we should not plagiarize, just copy. Means it was sort of copying the text from the digest or the reference book, textbook, whatever it may be, and directly from as it is writing. So it is commonly so that we could see the plagiarism. This is also I could experience even from my own research students, because I believe that research scholars, they are very innocent. Sometimes they read very good things, because some papers, they are really written in a very nice language. The language is such that it is very convincing to read the ideas, how beautiful it is written in the language. And sometimes that you cannot resist yourself just to take the words as it is. And even what happened, one of my scholars, I asked her to write a paper because publication should be there, and she bought the paper written very nicely. After reading that, I was a little bit worried how could she could able to write. I asked her, see, is it you have written the same text with your own words, with your own heart? She said yes. But please, have you taken these sentences from any source? She said no. I was a bit again very doubtful about that. Then I asked her to bring all those references which were quoted in the manuscript. Then I started reading all that. Somewhere I could again read sentences very similar to that was written in the paper. But the other thing I could recognize that she has read those paper, and those sentences, they were very convincing. Even that it were convincing to me too. I could not resist reading twice, thrice those very nice sentences, very nicely written. Then probably that has stuck into her mind, and she unknowingly, she has written the same thing. See, even though you just copy the same thing knowingly, intentionally, but still it is plagiarism. I told her, see, these words there. And she said, no, sir, I have not taken it. Maybe they are there, but I have not written it just looking into it. I have not copied from them. So this is a chance that unknowingly, that's why I believe that research scholars, they are very innocent. Sometimes it happens fabricating data or bibliographic information too. Fabricating data in the sense, whatever the results you get, if there are some readings, they are not according to the trend which is seen in those data. The researcher tends to change that readings, manipulate those readings. That is what we said, fabricating. Or if readings, they are not at all, still research scholar, they tend to write readings for that. I mean, it is not present, and you are generating the reading data without doing any experiment. Or even bibliographic information, references, giving some file references without proper year, proper journal name, proper page numbers, proper volume numbers, proper issue number, author names. There could be manipulation, even manipulation in titles also. So this may be intentionally or unintentional, but still, because being researcher, you have to be very careful that you are not making mistake in this sense. Because if you make mistake here, means you are misleading those people who will be reading your paper. See, no one reads no one's paper unless you need it. There are thousands of paper published every day. Do you think you read every paper? Do you think you reviewed every paper? Impossible. But still someone is reading that. You should be very careful that you should give accurate information. There could be some unauthorized collaborations, means which is beyond, it is not expected, such collaboration which is not permitted. Such collaborations could be there from industries or from institutes with academics, and it is not expected that data should be copied from one or the other source. Still, that could generate some falsification, false data, or even falsifying grades could be there, or misinterpreting oneself to gain advantage, or telling something wrong about yourself to be there, to get something you wish to have. So what we do, as yesterday, as we talked of some practices and models of academic integrity, the values which we really we think that should be integral part of a researcher character, that is honesty, trust, fairness, respect and responsibility. At least these characters, they are expected from each and every researcher. Then I could read a commentary in Science. I hope everyone knows the Science journal. It was a June issue, 2005 issue, and it was written by it was a general comment written by these authors. So the question, probably the title was "Scientist Behaving Badly." So owing to the title, I started reading the article, and the sentence which was there, which was, I think it should hurt every researcher. To protect the integrity of science, we must look beyond falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism to a wider range of questionable research practices. See, there are so many research practices where there could be manipulation, but still these three trio, falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism, should be strictly be avoided. So for the first time long back, I read this falsification, fabrication, FFP. Now they have made it short. And this was then later I also started reading many of the editorial where some of this research integrity or misconduct related, because I was worried that what really is happening, because maybe I had a fear, maybe knowingly, unknowingly, I may be committing some of the misconduct. I was very aware of this thing. So a paper was published in Nature 2008. It was a survey of 2,212 researchers. During the survey, the researcher who did this survey, he has 201 instances. This was disclosed by those people who were part of that survey, remember. So some of the examples from that survey which I could read even, that a postdoc changed the number in essays in order to improve the data. See, I just talked of this thing. Maybe some data, it is not fitting into the trend or something you are observing. So people, they have admitted they have changed the data to improve the data. So instead, what I suggest, that if you wish that some of the readings, they are not proper, I suggest repeat those experiment under similar set of condition. Repeat again once, twice, thrice. Maybe if somewhere there is error due to the experiment or due to chemicals or that, so just try to change everything. Try to eliminate all the sources of error so that you will be able to get the correct reading. So under identical set of condition, the reading should be similar, but still people do manipulate this. See, These are certain incidents, certain examples. A colleague duplicated results between 3 different papers, but differently labeled data in each paper. See, this has been, so someone during their interview, they have quoted that their colleague, they have taken from 3 different papers and they have labeled differently. See, these are certain incidents. Just the idea is you should know these are misconducts. A co-investigator on a large interdisciplinary grants application reported that a postdoc fellow in his lab falsified data submitted as plenum data in the grant. See, earlier I told you in India, writing for funding grants, it is not that I think important to most of the researcher, but in European and American states, European country, their writing grants means it is essential. Without that, you will not able to work in any lab. So you should have some good idea. You should be able to write for grants, and you should get the fundings. So then only you will be able to work in certain labs. So see, people, they have said that postdoc, they have falsified the data. And as principal investigator of grant, I submitted supplementary data to correct the application. So in that case, what the principal investigator said, no, the data should be correct. So he corrected the data. So he tried to eliminate the mistakes. Probably he might have thought, because still everyone believes that researchers, they are innocent. So we still believe, maybe he to believe there could be a unintentional mistake by the co-investigator. A colleague used Photoshop to eliminate background bands on a Western blot to make the data look more specific than they were. From biology field, especially from genomics, those who are working, they might know, especially in proteomics or genomics, molecular biology, those who are working, what these Western blots, what are banding pattern. So sometimes people tends to change this pattern, they manipulate the photographs even. So thereby just to make data look very specific. So these were certain incidents taken from, these were reported in Nature. You can see how serious matter could be, how people, they are worried about. See, everyone, they believes that whatever the work the researchers they are doing, they are really good, they are sincere. But here, so there were certain misconduct that was done by researchers. So what is research misconduct? So that has been defined by different people, especially there is an office, Department of Health Services in US. So the Office of Research Integrity, see, there is office, special office. I was wondering, I started reading about what the duty of, they have certain committees, the guidelines they make specially for the government grants. So they do these things. So how they define these people, they have defined, you can even visit their website. I have given the link where from I have taken. Research misconduct is defined as fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or in reporting research results. See, you two are in all this process. You propose the work, you perform the work, you review the work of other people, and you report your results. So please be careful. There is no deviation from anything that is clearly given. So it should be very perfectly as it is, with your own treatment that should be presented. Even I looked into how this Wikipedia, how it defined as scientific misconduct or research misconduct, one and the same. The violation of standard codes of scholarly conduct and ethical behavior in professional scientific research. See here, this definition is exactly responsible research conduct. responsible conduct of research, because we again talk of moral responsibility as well as professional standards. So this definitions gives the essence of both that aspect, morality as well as professional perfection. Or yesterday even I talked of that special documents of Michigan State University, that research that deviates from practices commonly accepted in the discipline, and whatever it is, the laid down that we should do this thing, we should not do this do's and do nots. So just whatever it is stuck up to do's, it is okay. Do nots, it is, we can regard as this misconduct. My voice is audible? Hello?
Yes, audible, sir.
I am wondering whether I am speaking to myself.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So here again the definition that how we should be very specific. We should not deviate from those. Suppose there is some practice laid down that we should do these things. There are certain designs, research design, like most of you be proposing hypothesis. Even if your hypothesis, your hypothesis is not proved, or there is some deviation from, still you tend to accept the hypothesis, and this is misconduct. So there are so many things. Every instance, there could be hundreds of instances throughout your work where you could behave. You should have behaved very nicely, but you should have deviated from that normal behavior. So so there is no specific deviation. So even if, see, let me tell you a very simple idea. Suppose you are writing a research paper and you say that you have referred 10-15 papers, but you have referred only 5 or 6 papers, and you have cited 15 or 16 references without looking into the whole of the paper. You have just somewhere cross-referenced it. Someone has written that, you have copied it, changed it, and you are quoting it. See, it is expected. No one is going to see what you have done. You have written paper, references, they are correctly mentioned, cited, it is okay. No one is going to ask you whether you are really. Recently, I could just experience such thing. One of the researcher from earlier coursework, he came to me, sir, I had a problem. What problem? So my guide is asking to bring every reference which I am just writing in that. So probably so he should believe that whatever I am referring it means, no, sir, it is not like that. He is asking the paper, and he is asking, he want to see on what page, what content I have quoted the page numbers. So what is the problem? You should show. Sorry, he is observing each and every paper, whatever I have quoted. No, it doesn't matter. You carry along all those papers, because that is the good part of your guide, that he is behaving very perfectly, very ethically. With a model, it should be a model code of conduct, that a guide should just see each and every reference for who his or her student they have consulted or referred. Generally, we don't. Even I don't. I believe. That's why I say I believe in my researcher that they have referred this paper, because now information, that is not the problem earlier as it was. Now it is very easy to acquire any paper. It's maybe soft copy, hard copy, anyway you may get. So deviation from the common accepted practices, whether it is academic research, but whatever, as or I have posted, performing, reviewing, reporting, or writing, anything. So that is any deviation from such, that could be misconduct. See, that may be not offensive even, but you should not be behaving like that. So some of the things which I really looked into, I have given some of the references from where I I read this, just I'm trying to make you aware of these things which I have read. The what is fabrication? See, these three things I talked of earlier. I talked of this, see, fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. So these were the basic foundation for misconduct, where this Office of Research Integrity they have proposed. So let us look into fabrication is making of data of result or recording or reporting them. It is making of data. It is not there. It is not the data you are getting. You are making the data. You are falsifying. You are fabricating. You are producing the data without doing the experiment. That is fabrication. Falsification is manipulation of research material, equipment, process, changing or omitting data, results. So as such, whatever the result it is got, it is not accurately presented in the research record. That is falsification. See, there are those who are from biology, they might be knowing, even those who are not. Please do remember this thing. Let me tell you incidents, because I'm a very ardent follower of Mendel. So the year is something around 1855 or so. During that time, Mendel proposed this laws of genetics. He presented all that. Basically, he was a priest in the monastery, and he was performing some experiment. The result which he got. See, at that time, people didn't know even what the genetics is all about, what the factors they are all about, what are the characters. Only Mendel's observations were so tremendous. See, he could observe variation in height, in flowers, in seeds, and many more, 7, 8 characters, even more than that also. But he was able to collect those seeds also and perform the experiment. And he conducted the experiment. And most of the things he could not understand even. But still, whatever he was able to analyze, on that basis, he proposed his law of inheritance. And I appreciate that. But some people at that time, people do rejected Mendel's hypothesis because it was time of Darwin, because Darwin was contemporary and people were following. At that time, those who were supposed to be very advanced in the society in terms of knowledge and their stature, they thought following Darwin will be a sort of showing that we are advanced in the society. So due to which here Mendel was talking of mathematics in biology, where Darwin was talking of evolution from monkey to human. People, and at that time, it was a domination of Pope over the Europe, the area where this Mendel and this Darwin, they were living. So people, this Pope said that all of a sudden the God had sent Adam from heavens to earth. So there is, as such, the question of evolution was not there. And what Darwin proposed, that they have evolved. He gave so many examples. He gave the finches example here, Galapagos. So many examples he proposed, and people they were following. So that's why they disregarded the work of Mendel. Even at that time, Mendel, whatever the data it was there, some data was not following the trends of Mendel. So in order to just make that, Mendel didn't took into consideration, because he was not knowing at all. See, here when you know everything and knowingly you are omitting the data, changing the data, then definitely it is a misconduct. But what Mendel did, it was unknowingly. He was not able to interpret it then. Then people later, Betson and Punnett and all those people, they tried to interpret the same data which Mendel left, which Mendel could not. But see, the same thing which Mendel did, it was rediscovered in 1903, around 1905, means almost 50 years later. So people could understand what Mendel was telling, and we could consider that Mendel was ahead of his time. But still people, they charge Mendel that he has misinterpreted, he has conducted misconduct in research, but that is not the case. So he was not able to interpret, because at that time people didn't know about the genetics, but still he was able to interpret something he could be. That's why he is regarded as father of the genetics. And plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's idea, processes, results, or word without giving appropriate credit. So if you have written something, I am copying, I am telling that I have written this, then this is plagiarism. So we need to be very careful, because you being researcher, there will be hundreds of incidents coming through your way till you complete your PhD, and even after that, that you may be falling prey to these misconducts. Please, knowing these things means making aware and preventing oneself from making such mistakes. That is the basic intention of UGC, that is basic intention of the science community, the basic instinct of the society, that we should not commit these things. And what is falsification? Falsifying the information, or inventing false information in order to deceive something. These I tried to look into dictionaries also, because these I could read from the document, but I thought it is okay. In research term, this terminology is acceptable. What does it means in academic terms? See, even academics means terms in Oxford and Cambridge, it is written similar way. But falsifying information or inventing false information, making, instead they have said, to deceive someone, you are fooling someone, you are deceive is dhoka dena. And false information itself. Plagiarism is the copying of another person's idea or work, pretending that is own. This is like the word-to-word definition from this. Then, what does research misconduct means? So, as I said, I just gave you example of Mendel. These were honest error or difference of opinion, because that was the honest part of Mendel. Even after though he proposed, he told that I could not find any relationship between this result, because those people who study genetics, they might be knowing that linkage process Mendel could not interpret, because it was beyond his understanding. So that's why you cannot say that. I strongly stand from by the side of Mendel, because he was not able to interpret that. He could not even understand what linkages were, because he was considering that whatever the factors, they were all independent, even though at that time chromosomes, genes, DNA, nothing was known. Still he was able to analyze those things. See how nice it was. So those could not be misconduct. So honest errors or honest difference of opinion, even if I differ from some idea from yours, that you cannot regard as a misconduct. So even destruction of research record to specially avoid the detection of wrongdoing or in contravention of the applicable funding agreement, institutional policy, law, regulation, whatever. See, in order to just keep only true data or falsify the data, destruction of record, again, that is, we can see that is miss. Then redundant publication, we may talk of this in later lecture, something redundant publication, republication of one's own earlier work or part of the work without adequate acknowledgement or justification. There is a chance that I have seen papers like this in good journals. Same data is presented in two different papers with a slight increment in the data or information, and they consider it as separate paper. See, presenting the same data means that you are not changing the story. The story remains the same. Only you are just trying to change the end of the story. but only the story remains the same. You might have such incidents. So even this is, we can regard as misconduct. Invalid authorship. Inaccurate attribution of authorship. See, I have yesterday I told you regarding something I discussed authorship. Maybe I will discuss today too. So what could be, what should be the ideal way of giving the authorship? How should we see? Even just to please someone, putting their name in the paper, again it is misconduct. So there should be some contribution of the author in the paper. Then you can think that you should, and it should be sufficiently enough that owing to the contribution in what quantum the author has worked, it should be sufficiently enough to have an authorship in that paper. Just giving idea, telling something doesn't, you should not demand an authorship in the paper. See? Because authorship says that lot work has been done. So work, those who have really contributed to the paper, they should claim the authorship. Otherwise, even don't have habit just to increase the number of publication to your credit. Don't ask your researcher or neither encourage them that put your name in their paper and you will put their name in your paper, so that the number of publication for both they will increase. See, again, this is regarded as misconduct. Mismanagement of conflict of interest. It may be conflict of interest among the authors, conflict of interest among the authors and the institute where they work. It may be conflict of interest among the authors, whatever it is quoted in the paper, and the publishing research journal, editorial board, reviewers. It may be up from reviewers at all level. There could be conflict of interest. Even mismanaging this just to please someone and to accept that even without being standing true means, again, this is regarded as misconduct. Sometimes this happens. Maybe maybe someone will be dealing. Then what are the criteria? So whatever the accepted practices they are, if you just deviate from this, that is surely it is misconduct. Whatever the accepted practice, you should do the result. You earlier in my first lecture, I remember I have given that if you are performing experiments on 50 samples and you have completed 45 samples, still 5 needs to be. You should complete all those 5 and then only you should report. You should not like that. But you are doing experiments on this 45 and quoting as you have done on 50. See, again, this is dishonest. So likewise, I have given so many incidences. You can make changes, behave immorally at any incidences during your course of research. So I could see in some of the labs, don't want to name the institutes, that the researcher, what they were doing, they were hiding some of the chemicals from their fellow researchers. See, this is not good practice. Otherwise, we should help the fellow researcher they need. And you can ask their help too. It is not necessary, it is not a matter of publication. It is just a matter of doing their own work. So though everyone is working to fulfill certain goals they have set, then misconduct that has been committed intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly. So these are all 3 incidents I talked about. Intentionally, with your knowledge, with your conscious, all you are committing wrong things. So that is purely misconduct. You cannot say these things. Or with your knowledge that someone is doing and you knew, suppose in a paper there is some changes, reviewer has asked and you are manipulating the data, your co-authors, they know, but still they are keeping mum. It is a misconduct on their part. They should no, we should not do this. We should try to whatever the data, we should be able to interpret that why this has happened, that we should give correct interpretation. And what is not misconduct? Unintentional, natural errors which has occurred without your knowledge, we can consider an honest. So honest errors, we cannot say what Mendel was doing. It was an honest omission because he was not able to understand. Unintentional, you have not decided. It has happened. Something slipped. Maybe it may be due to overlooking. Something has passed without your attention or something like that. So then that you cannot, please don't regard as misconduct. And at any instance, if you get a chance to correct that, please don't hesitate to correct it because you knew this is not right or this is not perfect. Especially there has been incidents of data, especially just being researcher, whether researcher from social science too, they have a lot of data from surveys, from interviews, from science people. There is no problem. They knew what the data is. So the fact is about 2% of researchers are admitting of faking data at least once in their career. See, 2% is a very good number. It is not expected. It is not expected that we should fake the data, change the data, falsify the data, fabricate the data. But still, in some survey, they could find blurred boundary between innocent error, misunderstanding, avoidable fault, intentional bending, and massive falsification. See the area between your knowing and your not knowing, the mistakes, the errors you've done. That is, I cannot say it is black or white, it is gray area. So we don't know even how many shades of gray we could talk of. So these areas, they falls between this conduct and misconduct. There is no clear cut. So here you should be very careful. Then fraud implies intention to cheat. Means when you falsify the data, again that is fraud. You are trying to cheat in this. I could read this definition from US Science and Technology Policy. Fabrication, falsification, plagiarism in performing, that is what the ORI's data is. What is not? So research misconduct does not include dispute regarding honest errors or honest differences in interpretation or judgment of it. See, there could be certain experiments. Suppose two groups, they are working on the similar topic and they come to some different conclusion. Maybe one group, it conclude in different way based on some different interpretation, and the other group it on some different way or other type of interpretation. Even there could be difference in use of some different statistical method deriving some statistical significance of the data. Even that could be. That has some errors that could have occurred in that. That very honestly they are doing it, but still there could be error, knowingly, unknowingly. Then we could not regard it as misconduct. So remember the basic thing: misconduct must be committed intentionally, knowingly, and recklessly. Now, what is whistleblowing misconduct? So suppose fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, and if you are somewhere and you are witnessing these things, suppose 2-3 people from one lab, they are doing some misconduct. It may be fabrication, it may be falsification, or it may be plagiarism. And I knew that they are doing this something wrong, misconduct they are doing. And in spite of knowing that what misconduct they are doing, still I am keeping mum, not telling anyone. So even it means that I am also part of that misconduct. So what could be? So it is known as person, the inner job, what we say. So if a person let everyone know that what misconduct has been happening there, this is known as whistleblowing. So it is your responsibility to tell that this data is wrong, this experiment is incorrect, this is not properly analyzed, interpreted, or reported. So in all these instances, it is essential that you should be a whistleblower, means you should be able to जैसा बोलते हैं ना चिल्ला पुकारा करना, बता देना नहीं नहीं ये गलत कर रहे हैं, ये झूठ बोल रहे हैं, ये गलत कर रहे हैं, ये गलत रिसर्च रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. So it is expected so that people will fear the things that we should report correctly. Then what are questionable research practices? Not exactly we could say it is misconduct, but still they are somewhere very near to the misconduct, right? Poor data management, poor record keeping, or poor note. I am telling something and you are recording something. Again, maybe it is neither your mistake, maybe the bandwidth is difficult, maybe the mic from my headphone it is not proper. So that could happen anything. So that is, you cannot say that still that is very close to misconduct. Then still if you witness such things, you should bring to the notice of those people. If they are correcting it, it is very good. If they are not correcting, then you should shout that these people, they are doing wrong. So it is not, it is what is at the stake. That is your reputation of your lab is at stake, reputation of your institution is at stake, reputation of yourself even being part of the group, again it is at stake. So we need to be very careful. So that's why they say we should always whistleblowing the misconduct. Then when should you speak out or prepare evidential documents? See, unless some criminal action is evolved or some misconduct is occurred, you need to submit the proof. Then that will be legal action will be taken. Otherwise, if they are, though they are conducting, but is not something worth in criminal action, then you should keep the record, resist those that could bring loss to the facility or life or equipment. So there could be some sort involved in that whole of the process, then you should definitely, you should be able to report that, shout at that things. This is what we said, whistleblower. Why does this happen? Question is simple question. Why this happens? So there are so many incidents, especially those people who are in hurry. They are more committed to do mistakes, more committed to do misconducts. So because they have a pressure that I should publish, because let me tell you, I have told you till my submission of my thesis, I was not knowing even I had my 2 papers were published because they were communicated by my guide, and I could not ever retrieve those papers. After completion of PhD, some of my friends, they bought me those 2 papers, and I was very happy. So the pressure, if I had been under pressure that I should publish, without knowing, I'll be falsifying the data, manipulating the data, and publishing the data in the journals, getting to result, because I had pressure that if I don't publish, that work will be gone, it will be useless. Similarly, desire to get ahead, because people they publish so many papers because to add to their biodata, because they think that it will get them good job or something like that, or even due to personal problems also. So if one of my colleague, if I say he's publishing alert and I should, and I don't have anything to publish, then I started fabricating the data. I started misconduct. I tried copy analysis from other sources. This is what this could happen. So that is very common reasons why misconduct people do. See, you should resist from all such incidences yourself, just falling prey to the misconduct. Character issue, because sometimes it tends to just go on once it has, see, I told you, you do small good actions. These small actions, they become your habits. And once your habits are very good, that becomes your character. You always try, no. If no one is looking, still you believe that, no, I should not do wrong things. Because you believe that someone is watching, you don't know who. So that is what, it is a part of character. You should build up a character that whatever the work you do, it may be a representation of very small data. But you should be able to say that, no, I am true to myself, I'm true to my science. Or even cultural differences. There could be people, they are tend to say false things. There could be many more. How to identify? See, as such, there could be, because those who are working very closely, so they are in the right position to tell whether they have done it or not, correctly or not, correct or incorrect. There could be so many reasons. Failing to confirm results by own lab or other. If I have done something, so my people who are working along me, they will vouch for me. They will take guarantee. No, he has done good work. He has done good results. But still, my lab people that we don't know when he did those experiments. Then that is those results, it is again under question. So again, this is how we can just identify this is misconduct. What is the effect if we come to know that something misconduct has been carried out? What are the consequences? See, there has been incidences where people have detected, come to know the misconduct has been done, then in such cases, that withdrawal or correction of all pending and published paper, abstracts affected by the misconduct, whatever the misconduct into which whatever the publication has come out, those papers could be withdrawn, those papers could be again corrected. Reprimand, removal from project, rank and salaries, reduction, dismissal, even dismissal. So there could be removal from the project, they may remove, terminate you from the project. You will not part of that project, or you will not get some designation or even salary, that will be cut in salary if you conduct some. So these are very serious, we can consider serious restitution of fund to the granting agency. Even in certain cases, if you do misconduct, the funding agency, they will ask all the money back, because they say, no, we don't believe you. You are making misconduct. Or they will just disqualify you permanently from getting the grants from any of the agency throughout, because nowadays everything is evident on the internet. You just put that this person has found guilty of misconduct and he should not be given any grant. And in that case, that is the end of your career. This is what we can expect, that these are very serious. I can give you one or two examples. Yes, some examples I have quoted. See, in 2012, and see, I am talking of an Harvard psychologist, Harvard University. Name is Mark Hauser. He had some very good work to his credit regarding origin of cognition and morality. And later, the Office of Research Integrity and Department of Health and Human Services, they have found the data to be falsified and fabricated. And methods in 6 different studies which were funded by the government of US. So they were found. This is what it happens. So these are misconduct. People, they may detect, not now, later they may be detected. In 2012, the University of Connecticut found cardiovascular researcher Deepak Das fabricated or falsified data 145 times in his work on resveratrol. So this was quoted in Science. See, I have not taken this example from my own, I have taken from Science. So they have reported that even Japanese Society of Anesthesiology released that there is the medicine faculty members. He has undergone misconduct of that. He fabricated the data in 172 papers. See, this is very big number, 170. So these were some of the examples, what extent people have done falsification. So please resist yourself from doing such things. Whatever the results, it may be significant, insignificant, whatever you got. Please don't be just wary of reporting that result. Let me tell you one example. One researcher in US, I think it was Pat Palmer. Yes. What she did, she fabricated the 6 interview records. So she said that I have given interview at so places and I was selected. She even fabricated the claim of PhD. She said, I have done PhD from such and such institute, Iowa, I think, University of Iowa, bachelor's and master's also. Even she falsified that she was co-author of 10 articles. She quoted that she is part of, but when it was found that none of these 10 articles, they had their name in original, only while quoting in the CV in order to get the grant, she had falsified the data. So you can see that it is available. I could even just find this document on the net. So what she did, she was working on autism and she fabricated the interview results of 6 patients' families. Even her, as I told you, she said that she did PhD and BS and MS from University of Iowa and MS from University of California. See, she had PhD in epidemiology, as she didn't have. She fabricated it, all she had. She could get some good grants, but later, when it was found that many more activities, they just retried all those things. She was excluded from all any services in the. This was done by the committee. She was her career was finished. See, this is very serious things. We should be very careful. So whatever the result you got, please don't hesitate to quote as it is. Doesn't it will not. One questions yesterday even regarding even here, what she did, where she is. Yes, here. She here, let's see. I have seen the document. She had a list of papers where she has quoted her name, that she has been part of those papers. But when actual those papers were seen, her name was not in there, all those 10 papers. This is regarding authorship is also there. So authorship issue is very serious. We should be very careful regarding this. So whose name should be there? Yesterday, you have asked question about regarding credit to the authors, but let's ask some basic question. Who should be the author? So those authors' name which appeared in the name in the paper, so they should have some significant contribution to the research, to the work which you are writing. Just, oh, I have seen this, I have read this, I have corrected this. Doesn't mean any person could read it for you, correct it for you. But there should be some real creative contribution in the work itself, just by giving the idea, taking the response, recording the observation or something like that, interpreting the data, giving some new dimension to the data, existing data. Then second thing, remember, when you write name of the authors in a paper before publication, it is expected you should ask permission of each and every author that their name is being included in the paper, and you should have with you a written document so that everyone is responsible for all this research. So just not be named as a solely author on the basis of being supervisor of a researcher or student or leader of the research where the credency has not been made to the research. Sometimes I have seen this, what research guides do. So students submit some papers to, I have seen this, I have experienced, not me, very close people to me, they have experienced, they showed me this. The scholar wrote a paper, gave to the guide, keeping in the, just I advise them, even at that time, that you should keep the blank, the authorship blank, so that the guide will wish to add the names accordingly as he wish. But what happened? The guide kept the paper, said we'll publish it is not good, we'll publish it later. And the guide himself published the paper. And of late, when this student, the researcher was reviewing the paper, he could find the same paper. Again, he asked, what happened? Then again, he went to the guide. Sir, this is what it has happened. He say, I have put your name. I don't know why these journal people, they have removed your name. See, these are nonsense things. I have seen this. So sometimes the scholar fears that they write the name themselves. So it depends on the condition. But even the supervisor should not behave like this. See, those who have not been involved, even some good journals, they ask the contribution of each and every author, what each and author have, how they have contributed. They ask them that they have someone has their own idea. Second, they have worked out. Third, they have carried out, recorded their experiment. Fourth, they have corrected the data or revised the data or written the paper. So in different way, there could be contribution. So accordingly, so authorship should be on that basis. We should be very clear about. Just don't include that someone is your good friend and you want to just show your friendship. Show your friendship. Ask your friend to your home. Have good lunch, dinner, party with. But authorship and this academic, intellectual activities, they are totally different. You should be very careful about these things. Sorry. Then remember, whenever authors, they are doing the work, means everything, whatever it is written in the paper, every author is responsible for the status. So whatever, if it is wrong, means all they are there. So please be careful. Sometimes some of my students, they just come, sir, we have written paper, we want to include it. I said, no, unless I am being part of that paper, I have worked it, you should not put my name in it. I don't expect that my students, unless I am contributing the paper, I should not have name. Then, so these authors, they are whatever the mistake, if you are quoted correctly, falsely, because it is equal responsible for all the authors. So please be careful. Don't be in a hurry to have numbers of paper to your account. Be careful that it is added. Your name is added in the paper very properly. So remember, the principal investigator or corresponding author or the first authors, they are first responsible for whole of the paper. So be careful. Position comes with the responsibility. Remember. So if you are first author, if you are corresponding or your guide is corresponding, definitely he has responsibility to take, because everything, if the paper has come for revision, you should be able to revise. Correction, you should correct it, revise it again, resubmit it, everything. It is the responsibility of the principal or the corresponding author. Then how just we could just what are the causes, then how this could be. So most of the journals, see, even UGC in their guidelines, they have written that paper should be published in UGC care listed journals. Means what? Anyone?
Sorry, sir.
UGC has mentioned that papers should be published in UGC care journals only. What does that
May I,
mean?
sir?
Please,
May I,
anyone?
sir? This list shows, contains all the journals which are having no predatory type of journals, or the predatory journals are excluded from such list.
Now the new
Am I right,
terminology,
sir?
yes, you are perfectly correct, but you have given a new terminology.
Sir, but the
Predatory journals. Yes.
sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. But
No,
sir,
don't be sorry.
Padma Bhushan sir from the Pune University has designed a new SPPU software, and it states that 88% of the UGC care list journal are fake or predatory journals.
See, Bhushan Patwardhan happens to be the secretary. Yes. He was vice chancellor there, and later he moved to UGC. There he has drafted. There is, as such, I could not see any software, but there are guidelines which are very strictly given to follow for the journals. Means we should resist from the, because see, there is no very strict major or in some machine or something that could just separate good journals and predatory journals. Even some journals which even I was considering as good journal, later it came to my mind, these are predatory journals. So how come even I could, some journals from the even UGC care list, later I found that those journals, they were removed because they were not following the practices. There are so many guidelines laid down by this. So the meaning that UGC says, it means that those journals, see, even you might have heard about that. There are guidelines, not only though I am talking only of researcher, I am just telling you people to behave very nicely, do these things. So don't you think no one has asked, sir, it is only duty of a researcher that they should behave perfectly? It is not the duty of the journals. Is it not the duty of the reviewers, or it is not the duty of other people? They should behave in a very gentle way, in a perfect way, without just breaching the integrity of the norms and the science. See, everyone is responsible. It is not only the researcher, you. It is the responsibility starts with you. It's responsibility of your supervisor. It's responsibility of the department and the research lab where you are working. It is the responsibility of your institution. It's responsibility of the university. It is responsibility of the UGC. It's responsibility of whole scientific community. So even those people who are publishing paper, the publishers, the reviewers, the editors, everyone, they have their own role to play. They have to be playing their best part, behaving very nicely, behaving in a very professional, with the professional standards. See, recently I had discussion with one of my friend who we were discussing on the same aspect. See, he said, you are talking, I told him that the UGC has just the guidelines, they have, there's included Web of Science, they have Scopus. See, what Web of Science and what Scopus you are talking of, man? What happened? So at least we can consider these agencies there. So after all, these agencies, they are private money minting agencies, he said. No, they may be, because to run some institution, unless you had money, you will not able to, though they are. But see, if you want to download a paper, they are asking $33, $35. So is that a good part of conduct of research? Say, research should be freely available. What open access people say. See, again, It is not a duty of only researcher. Everyone should behave. So even sometimes peer review, when it is done, sometimes if I tend to know that this paper belongs to some of my acquaintance, I don't reject that in spite of that paper is worth of being rejecting. See, this is misconduct on my part, on a reviewer. No one is knowing, but still I am accepting, giving good comment on that paper. That is misconduct. Journal, the editor without asking question accepts the paper, asks the researcher to pay money for the publication. I accept. Paying money doesn't make that the journal is predatory, but the process, how it is followed, that is what it is regarded as predatory. Unless you submit your paper, your paper is not peer reviewed, comment is not given, and without commenting, your paper is published, you are not correcting the paper, not revising the paper, you are not making changes, no one is reading your paper and pointing out your mistakes. See, this is we can regard as misconduct. At every level there could be misconduct, but still it is the responsibility of everyone. It is not only the researcher, but the prime thing is starts with the researcher. Prime thing is starts with the student. So student should be careful, because it is student have the choice, because these people who tends to behave wrongly, they knew they are behaving wrong. Let me talk of predatory journals. They knew that they are there to mint money from the researcher. Because why researcher? Because researcher want early publication within 4 days, 5 days. Researcher want publication without correction. He says, if we just put the paper, it should be published. There should be no revision. Again, that is wrong. It should be sufficiently go through. Some mistakes should be there. They should be cleared. Some questions could be there. They could be asked. They should be cleared. Then only, doesn't matter whatever the time it may be taking. Earlier, the revision used to take years together. Now it is much easier. I receive mails every day to review such paper. Those paper which falls in my domain, knowledge domain, I only accept those paper. It doesn't mean that every paper it is coming to me, I am accepting. Sometimes engineering aspect related with the biology, those paper there, so I think I am not right person to judge that, because I don't understand much of the engineering. Then if still I accept it, see, even reviewing, they don't get any benefit of reviewing, but still I am reviewing it, I am misconducting it. See, it is on the every part. So that could happen. See, these are the reasons where misconduct, there is always that rise in the misconduct, there's rise in the cheating. Even availability and ease of internet sources. Even in internet, there are so many. If you just type in keywords, there will be hundreds of words. What students do, I have just some time back, I have asked assignment to my master students, MSc students. I told them to write a review referring at least 10, 12 different papers. What these people did, they downloaded 10 papers on the topic, copied their abstract, pasted their abstract, gave the references at the end, and as it is, they submitted. Then when I looked into that, I could see that as it is, it was copied. See, this is the wrong thing. So because even students don't understand what does this plagiarism means. So it is my duty, I should make them what plagiarism is, to make them know. So it is not, so that's why I'm telling that researchers, they are innocent. They don't know, because they don't understand these things. So it is duty of a mentor, duty of a teacher to make them understand. It is university believes, UGC believes that the duty of UGC that it should be, that's why they made it compulsory. University said it is a part of their, that this thing should be followed by every researcher. So they made it compulsory. Everyone should pass this paper. Again, it comes to the guide, it comes to the research center. They made it compulsory. Everyone should learn this. It should be taught and it should be made explained to make aware. So whatever the lack of due the committing of misconduct due to lack of understanding, that could be omitted. See, these are the reasons. Even the code of conduct, see, there are no guidelines given to this researcher. So still we are in a stage that still time need to come, that we need to have guidelines, what researchers should do and do not. There are no guidelines when you enter in the lab. So this is what lack of detection, even detecting methods, how misconducts have happened. So people, they just escape these things knowingly. Sometimes they escape these things. Sometimes nothing happens, lack of consequences. Even if someone has conducted, nothing happens. So those people, they tend to do more misconduct. Product-oriented assignment and examination. See, we know that we give only 2 questions to the students, and I will say these only 2 questions will come in the examination. Student will only study those 2 questions. And when examination comes, only these 2 questions will be coming. A student will be writing only those 2 questions and will call it. See, this is what the way of producing results is. So we have restricted it. So it should not be, it should be free and fair, unbiased. High stakes assignments and exams, pressure to succeed and achieve. So there is always that whatever we do, we should always succeed. Students, sometimes I have seen researchers, they have left doing research because they could not find the results. They could not get the results. I feel very bad for these people. If they could have tried more, they could have got some very good results. So these are some of the incidents. What we can do to ensure, ensure this compliance. I always tell you, please, whatever you do, please write everything on the record. Even if at that time you did not able to detect this, but later you will come to know that something has been wrong. So you should give sufficient time to complete assignments. You should, so within short stipulated time, without repeating the experiment, if you are getting the results, then there is a question that these results, whether they are really reliable. Or in paper you write, you have repeated these results in triplicate and thrice. You have done in triplicate and repeated thrice. Do you have really done that? So then what is the source of error? What is the degree of freedom then? So in such instances, you could just assure that if you have done that. Most important thing I often tell, trust yourself. So please be sure to express your ideas in your own words. Be confident. So till writing my PhD, I was not very confident, though I studied through English media. I was not very confident that I was writing good science. Because those who, my guide, when he used to read, he said, okay, we'll improve it. So I thought there are flaws in the language. But I could not determine, I could not know that whether I really could write. But when I started writing my thesis, so still there were, because this was the first time I could just write it. I was writing the experiment. It was not the language. It was the mode of presenting, because I was not knowing. No one of you is knowing that. So how to write this? No one taught us how to write the things. Otherwise, I had just promised even the last my coursework batch in my college. I promised them that I will conduct a scientific writing course, at least workshop, at least of 1 day. At least you should get a basic idea how to, what to, how, where to write, how to just do these things. See, we are never taught this. But as soon as you start writing, and when you succeed, it means you are gaining confidence. So after writing my thesis, I submitted. All of a sudden, my guide called me. I was very happy that day. My confidence was elevated. He called me that one of my senior who was working in the lab, but due to some family problems, she left the work, but almost she completed the work. And she came back, maybe due to marriage or something, kids. Then all of a sudden, my guide called me and said, okay, you have done your work for your thesis. Just help her to present the thesis in a good form. Then again, it was a sort of question on my face. I said, sir, I have just written, I am not enough confident that I will be able to write. No, he said, no, no. Whatever the thesis you have written, it is good. I am sure that there are no grammatical or typographical, because I typed it myself. At that time, computers were not that common. So I was very happy to hear that. That's how my confidence boosted. With much interest, I started helping her. Not helping her, I started writing her experiments. Just I was having the result I was trying to present. And even my guide was very happy. But I could help her a lot. I presented in a very nice manner, in a very descriptive, everything was covered. I was really happy. So that is what you need to trust yourself. I have the confidence that once you succeed, once you write good paper, your good paper is published in good journals, definitely your confidence will be boosted. Please assure yourself that you are able to write. You start writing. If you don't, you can learn writing. It is no one is born with the ability to do these things. They have learned coming after here only. And I am just talking here. Only thing, the difference between you and me is we are at the fourth, that we are the same level. Only thing is I had a little bit more experience than you. That is the only thing. Otherwise, we are on the same. I am doing the same experiment. You are doing the same experiment. We are publishing paper. You are also publishing. I am also publishing. Only thing is I am just implying my experience, what I have learned in past in my work, and I am trying to just give you those ideas that you should not do those things which I have committed. That is what the difference is. That is what the beauty of research is. Then consider the value of learning for its own. I just told you that you learn yourself. You'll be you should appreciate yourself. You should say yourself, you are doing good work. Just stand just in front of your mirror and tell, you are doing good research. You appreciate yourself. You boost your confidence. So that is what it is expected. Then see, just I told you, it is not the responsibility of researcher. It is also responsibility of your guide, your mentor, that whatever the students, it may be graduate, it may be masters, it may be doctoral, undergraduate, postgraduate, they are all aware of this conduct. They knew all these things, how they should behave, how they should write. Yesterday, even I talked of how authorship guidelines, see, even in the cartoon, I just, so the cartoon I especially just pasted here. I just got from the net that even though if you write good manuscript, but see what the guide is telling that. So again, it's duty of a guide too. So I believe in my students, and every guide should believe their students also. So it is a good practice to have a faith in the students. See, I could read this editorial. I could not resist to give a screenshot of this. Falsification, fabrication, plagiarism, the unholy trinity of scientific writing. So this is written by Anthony Zetman. He happens to be editor-in-chief of this international journal of radiation oncology. It's a very, very nice journal. So if you just read this paper, all they have described of these things. This is knowingly, unknowingly, it is committed. So fake data, I will not talk of these characters of this fake data. I have just discussed some of the aspect of these things. Okay. This Office of Research Integrity, they runs a newsletter. An earlier one, which I could read, an author publishing the same data in more than one journal, assuming that the data figures are the same in both publications, not considered as research. This violates most of the rules of professional journalism. See, what happens? It is you to decide. It is you to decide, even though this, what ORI is telling that, but it is not conducted to considered, but still most of the journals, even I have detected once or twice, I just was reviewing a paper. I could started searching that what are these authors, they have really worked. So the journal is very good, with good impact factor. I said that I should search this, what these authors. I could find that these authors, they have published their partial results. Partial results. Partial results in both of this paper. I rejected outline. I said that no, this paper is not proper. So such paper will be maybe next lecture tomorrow we will talk of this salami publications also. So there could be an opinion difference, but journal rules, they are different. Some journals, they are very strict. Nowadays, and I could read, I was very happy to read that some journals, they say the limit for plagiarism is only 5%, or they have a 0% toleration for plagiarism. See, that is very, very absolutely perfect. That journals, they are valuing this thing. Otherwise, some journals, they are not even worried about how much plagiarism is being carried out. See, plagiarism, we may talk of these things also. Maybe my next lecture will be talking about plagiarism. So these are some of the instances where a behavior of the researcher, we say poor behavior of research, that could, we can say, that is due to which that misconduct, that falsifying, I have given so many incidences here. So plagiarism you may be dealing to. So it is just copying from some others without giving proper credits to that. So that is again a very wrong practice. Sometimes researchers tend to do these things because they think that is good, but this is very, very, very innocently, but this is not proper. So we should be aware of this thing. So sometimes they tend to do these things, even unknowingly. Some part it may be copied. So there are very strict rules by different agencies. We may look into what are the tools for plagiarism also. See, I have given these were some top 10 behaviors of misconduct. I think I have already talked of this, even some other behaviors. So these are some things which I really wish to discuss with you. I think I will stop here, and if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. So I think I have sufficiently put light on most of the aspect. If you had any question regarding this falsification or misconduct, falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism, please feel free to ask. I'm expecting questions from you. Please.
Sir, what should be the basic steps for the pre-synopsis or synopsis? Many members said that just read many books. So is there any method, or we can just go through the reading?
Regarding what? I could not get it. What actually?
For the making of synopsis, sir, as we are commencing for the RRC meeting after that exam.
After once you pass this examination, you will get some time. Don't worry. So first, you have some broad ideas of what you will be doing your research. So essentially, everyone what is telling that reviewing the research means unless you know that what earlier people has done. So how could you know that you will be doing on a new area of research? Some if you didn't review the work of other people, those who have worked in that region, how could you know that what the area you will be working, it is a new or it is an old one? You are just repeating the same work they have already done. So please, everyone, whatever they have been telling, it is correct. You should read a lot. You just narrow your choice of topic. To which this stream or science discipline subject you belong to. I will just give an idea.
Okay, sir.
So you suppose if you belong to chemistry, okay. So think of what are the running trends. So now it is much easier if you just go on net and start searching the running trends in chemistry, running trends in biology, running trends, and very specifically, suppose if you want to work in animal physiology or animal toxicology or something pisciculture or something like apiculture or whatever it may be, what are the running trends in research? So there are so many people who are reading a lot who still say things that they cannot do all the work, still some work need to be done. So here sometimes they say there is gap left. So a gap, what are the research gap? Even please be prepared. So after completing your thesis, your referee may ask what are the research gap after completing this work. So there could be. So unless you recognize what are the research gaps, what are the holes which doesn't make a complete figure, and if you work on this, you will get some very good ideas for doing research work. So for that, it is essential that you should read it. Unless you will not read, how will you will come to know what is there to work on. So maybe sometimes if you unknowingly or sometime later you come to know that someone already has done the same work, it means all you have done it is wrong, it is fake, all in vain. No. So you should be aware of this thing. So here you can take help of a guide also. Your guide may give us, sir, this is the area where very little work has been done. Why don't you search it? You start searching that. If you had an idea already you have done in some masters or some preliminary work, you can think of that because you knew. Once you start reading, you will try to get an idea what, even if you go on reading and reading, you will get everything. You will come to know that how to work, what methods need to be used, how to conduct the experiment, what is your hypothesis, what you are going to prove, what you need to do, how you need to do, what are the experiments you need to conduct. See, this is all things. It is just gained by your own experience. Maybe your guide will help a lot to show you the path, but it is essential that you should yourself be prepared for these things. Hope you got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Please.
Sir, how we will maintain two aspects, that is confidentiality and openness regarding our research topic?
Confidentiality and openness means to say, confidentiality means, see, if you are working for your thesis and in long terms, you don't want to disclose your data. So you need not to disclose the data till you submit as a thesis. And it is not like that periodically you should be publishing all your data. If you are done for 6-1, whatever your data you got, you publish that. Means nothing will be left to submit your thesis at that time. So you need to maintain some your data. It has been kept aside that will be submitted in your thesis, and parallelly you work on so many. When you work on your thesis, means it is not only thesis, there are some parallel lines only you also work. Suppose you are working on one problem, and there is some parallel problem. You start working on that problem too. So what happens? You tend to generate data from this. Later you came to know, oh, there is slightly variation owing to some inherent characteristic of those problem. Then you think, no, I will stick to these things. So what you will do? you will keep that data confidential. You will not share with your research colleagues. Sometimes when you complete that experiment, then you discuss with your guide. Then this is what the guide says, okay, if it is good, keep it aside, we'll include in the thesis. And whereas on the parallel problem you have been working, then what you do, it is essential, you should know, people should know that you are working on what aspect. Suppose some linear equations or partial differential, something like that. So people should know what are the variation in that. So when you publish such work, either in conference, in journals, in some books, or somewhere, any incident, even in your lab, people will come to know what you have been working. Means they will that will give an idea that you are working on that. So those all who are interested in your work, they will ask you or they will give you idea. Why don't you? It is not possible even for me to work on all aspects. If I come to that someone is working on the same topic which I am working in the other lab, I will just contact. I will say, have you worked on this idea? So this will be a sort of idea to this person. In internship, say, yes, I have done these things. Okay, so I will just exclude those things. So this is how being open, because I am myself just opening that, giving the idea to the other researcher. This is confidential, as well as I am opening the avenues for research for myself and for the other researchers too. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more question? अरे अगर इंग्लिश में दिक्कत होती है तो आप हिंदी में पूछिए, मराठी में पूछिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. कोशिश करूंगा मैं दोनों में समझाने की. डजंट मीन दैट इंग्लिश में बोल रहा हूँ इसलिए आप इंग्लिश में पूछना चाहिए. लैंग्वेज को बैरियर मत बनने. लेट्स लैंग्वेज नॉट बी द बैरियर, जस्ट टू कम्युनिकेट बिटवीन यू एंड मी. If you had, please do ask. I hope that he doesn't have a sound sleep during my lecture. Yes.
सर एक्झाम मध्ये कोणत्या टाइप मध्ये क्वेश्चन येतील या टॉपिक वर?
ह्या टॉपिक वर हा कारण पहिल्यांदाच परीक्षा होते बघा. बरेचदा अपेक्षित हे आहे तर परीक्षा हे तर तुमची डिस्क्रिप्टिव्ह होणार आहे. पण मी माझ्या विद्यार्थ्यांनाही सांगितलंय, तुम्हालाही सांगतो की मी काही बसून जेव्हा मला हे सगळं तुमचं हे सगळं होईल, मला जेव्हा वेळ मिळेल, मी काही क्वेश्चन ड्राफ्ट करणार आहे प्रत्येक युनिटवर, 5च्या 5 युनिटवर. आणि ते क्वेश्चन मी तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना, तुम्हालाही देतो आणि माझ्या विद्यार्थ्यांना देतो. तुम्ही एक काम करा, एक असाइनमेंट म्हणून ह्या सगळे प्रश्न 5 युनिटवर देतो. तुम्ही ते सॉल्व्ह करायचं, लिहायचं प्रश्न. जोपर्यंत तुम्ही प्रॅक्टिस करणार तुम्हाला कळणारच नाही कसं लिहायचं. तुम्हाला जर डाऊट असेल तर दाखवा, जे टीचर जे टॉपिक डील केले त्यांना दाखवा, कदाचित ते जस्टिफाय करू शकतील. नाहीतर तुम्ही मला दाखवा, मी काही हेल्प करू शकेल, काय ऍड करायला पाहिजे, काय यायला पाहिजे. सी देर इज नो ॲज सच रूल, असं काहीच नाही की किती लिहायला पाहिजे, काय लिहायला पाहिजे. इट इज शुड बी रिलेटेड, दॅट शुड बी सफिशियंटली आन्सरिंग दॅट. जे विचारले त्याचा उद्देश काय की तुम्ही हे सगळं कव्हर केलंय. बघा, ह्या स्टेजवर मला असं वाटत नाही की तुमची हे पहिली दुसरी सारख्या विद्यार्थ्यांची परीक्षा तुमची घ्यायला पाहिजे. उलट ह्या परीक्षेचा उद्देश हा असतो की तुम्ही ह्या ज्या सगळे जे सिलेबस मध्ये ठेवलंय ते सगळे तुम्ही सिन्सिअरली वाचलंय आणि त्यासाठी तुम्ही तयारी केली, तुम्ही स्टडी केली, म्हणजे नक्कीच तुम्ही काही प्रश्न विचारा, तुम्ही लिहू शकते. बरोबर आहे. तर काळजी करू नका. काही जे प्रश्न असतील ते मी तुम्हाला शेअर करतो, तुमच्या कोऑर्डिनेटर्सला शेअर करतो, ते कदाचित तुम्हाला शेअर करते. डोंट वरी अबाउट. अजून काही?
सर दर 6 महिन्याने आम्हाला रिपोर्ट द्यावा लागतो की आम्ही काय वर्क केलं, आणि मग 6 महिन्याने आम्ही जेव्हा त्यांना सांगू की आम्ही हे वर्क केलं, तर मग ते आम्ही सगळ्यांसमोर डिस्क्लोज केलं असं तर होणार नाही ना?
काय वर्क केलं म्हणजे काय केलं? जसं सपोज पहिल्या 6 महिन्यात, सपोज आता असं आपण ऍट द बेस्ट ऑफ युअर पार्ट आपण असं कन्सिडर करू की तुम्ही हे एक्झाम हे सगळेच पास व्हाल आणि पास झाले समजा, आणि सगळ्यांनी सिनॉप्सिस सबमिट केली. सिनॉप्सिस तुमचा इंटरव्ह्यू हे झाला आणि तुमचं कन्फर्मेशन हे झालं. मग 6 महिन्यानंतर म्हणजे डिसेंबर आणि जून आपण असं कन्सिडर करू की डिसेंबर एंड पर्यंत तुमचं कन्फर्मेशन झालं. पण डिसेंबर पासून तुम्हाला जून एंड पर्यंत तुम्ही काय काम केलं हे तुम्हाला सांगावं लागेल. अपेक्षित काय की तुम्ही ह्या 6 महिन्यात काय करणार? तुम्ही रिव्ह्यू अजून जमा करणार. आतापर्यंत करत आलात, अजून जमा करणार. जर विचारले की मागचे काय म्हणे, तर 6 महिने फक्त स्टडी केली कोर्सवर्कची. त्याच्याकडे हे काय स्टडी केली हे विचारत नाही, काय केलं हे विचारतात. त्यामध्ये काय शिकलत हे विचारणार नाही, किती शिकलत हे विचारणार. रिसर्च प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट मध्ये तसंच आहे की तुम्ही 6 महिन्यात काय केलं, किंवा वर्षातनं जे अॅन्युअल हे प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट आहे त्यामध्ये तुम्ही की ब्रॉडली की आय हॅव अनालाइज धिस थिंग्स, आय हॅव डन धिस थिंग्स, आय हॅव क्रिटिकली एक्झामिन्ड धिस थिंग. त्यामध्ये काय रिझल्ट आहे, बट इट शुड बी पर्टेनिंग टू युअर रिसर्च वर्क. तुमच्या कामाशी निगडीत असायला पाहिजे की तुम्ही हे काम केलं. काय केलं हे रिझल्ट विचारत नाही. फॉर्मॅट 1-2 सेंटेन्स 3 सेंटेन्स मध्येच लिहायचं असतं की आम्ही हे केलं. सर्वे केलं. कुठला सर्वे? नांदेडचं सर्वे केलं. नांदेडचं पुरलं का नाही. नेक्स्ट 6 महिन्यामध्ये परभणीचं केलं. ठीक आहे. नेक्स्ट 6 महिन्यामध्ये औरंगाबादचं केलं. असं करत करत असं सांगायला पाहिजे की आम्ही सर्वे केलं. काय सर्वे केलं, कसं केलं, थेसिस आहे ना तुमची सांगायला. ठीक आहे.
ठीक आहे सर, थँक्यू.
ओके. अजून जर काही प्रश्न नसेल तर आपण थांबू का?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
थँक्यू सर.
Now I request Sachin for vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. Is that I'm audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
On the behalf of Research Committee in Science College Nanded, and from the all participants side, I thankful to Dr. Beg sir for his valuable and informative session on research integrity. Thank you, sir. I also thankful to Dr. Vishal Marathe sir, research convener, and Dr. D. U. Gavi sir, college principal.